Welcome to Whiskey's a Journey. My name is Peter Fossiano. Today, this is my Monday series where I'm currently covering single barrel bourbons. We're leaving Kentucky and we're heading over to Wyoming today, and we're going to be taking a look at Wyoming Whiskey. This is their annual release. They're a single barrel. It's coming in at a pretty low ABV, 48% ABV, 96 proof, straight bourbon whiskey. We're looking at aged 5 years. It says it right on the back of the label. This is barrel number 8284, distilled and bottled in Kirby, Wyoming with Wyoming Whiskey. And we'll get to that a little bit later. 750 milliliter bottle. And I ended up paying $109.99. And I'm in Phoenix, Arizona, if you don't know. Now, there is a little bit of, not necessarily confusion, but this said that there was an undisclosed mash bill, but then when I looked on their website, their mash bill said that it was 68% corn, 20% wheat, and 12% malted barley. So this is a wheated bourbon. Let's go ahead and pour it, nose it, taste it, talk about it. And if you stick around until the end, I'm gonna go ahead and give this thing a score. And if you are interested in any of my scores up to this point for my Monday series, I have a document linked into the description below. So if you're interested in seeing that, just go ahead and click on that document. And I have it divided up into the different types of whiskeys that I've done for my Monday series. It's nothing fancy, but just in case people want to see it, it's there. All right, let's get this thing on the nose. It's sweet. It's got that soft wheat vibe to it. And I've said this before, and I'll say it again. We have a Black Angus restaurant, a steakhouse in Phoenix, Arizona. And at the very beginning of the meal, they serve a wheat roll with oats on top. It's a darker looking roll. When you bust that open and put butter on it, it almost has a pillowy, soft feel. And that's what I'm getting on the nose. A wheated, buttered roll. I do get a little bit of honey and cinnamon in here as well. And on top of that, I would also put this in the musty category. It almost smells like wet cardboard or wet leaves. It has an earthy, musty note to it. I wouldn't say I'm getting any fruit, but there are those traditional bourbon notes, the brown sugar and the vanilla, but it's back behind everything else. Let's go ahead and get it on the palate, see what I think. Oh wow, that's really good. It's nice and soft. It has a good amount of sweetness. That buttery texture is there, even being as low proof as it is. It has a pretty good mouthfeel. That earthy, musty note that was coming through on the nose is also there on the palate. It works its way back from the arrival to the mid palate to the finish, and it just gets musty. Good amounts of barrel char or barrel tannins on the side of the tongue. That's always good. This is not up over the top. And overall, there is a good, pleasant, soft sweetness to it. I'm enjoying this quite a bit. And like always, you can't judge a whiskey on the first sip. You have to acclimate to it, let it, absorb into the mouth and into the chest. So let's go ahead and get that second sip in. Let me concentrate on anything else, and then I'm gonna add some water to it, talk a little bit about Wyoming whiskey, and then give it a score. Second sip, here we go. Yeah, if I had to classify this as something, I would definitely say that this is an easy, sweet sipper. As far as the wheat notes go, I think this is your classic wheat whiskey. It's sweet, it's honey, it's cinnamon, a little bit of caramel, vanilla, but definitely that buttered wheat roll is there. And boy, it is soft. It's just pillowy soft in the mouth. As it's sitting here, it is getting a little bit bitter, but it doesn't go over the top of bitterness. I get that tannin on the side. The finish, I would say, is short to medium. I think it's going to continue to get bitter, but then it stops, and then the finish disappears, and I'm ready for another sip. But before I get another sip, let me add maybe a drop of water to this. I don't want to overdo it, but since I'm adding water to everything, I'm going to continue doing that and add some water to this, and then give you a little bit of information on Wyoming whiskey. All right, so like I had mentioned before, their individual limited single barrel releases are annual releases. I don't know how to tell whether or not this is the 2022, 2021, or 2023 release. Let me know in the comments down below if you know how to tell. And jumping onto their website, I was pleasantly surprised to see that when they opened Wyoming whiskey, they didn't source anything. They, from the get-go, they ended up producing their own distillate, never sourced it, never bottled anything else but their own. Coming out of Kirby, Wyoming, the Brad and Kate Mead are the founders of this, and then they brought on Foz. His name is David Tafazio, to actually do the distillation. They don't really name him as master distiller, but they said that he produces the whiskey, so whatever that means. He has a huge crew underneath him as far as the distilling crew and the bottling crew. And then I'm also seeing that Nancy Fraley is listed on their website as a consultant. So if she's involved, it's probably going to be something pretty good. And not to discount anybody that's working there other than Nancy Fraley. This is a pretty good quality whiskey. So it's not just because of Nancy Fraley, it's everybody that's involved. So kudos to everybody that's working there. It's a good quality, well put together whiskey. I like this quite a bit. And according to their website, they're using all local corn, wheat, barley, rye with no GMOs. And in this day and age, I'm not necessarily sure which distilleries use non-GMO stuff or GMO stuff. Again, if you know which distilleries do or don't, let me know in the comments down below. All right, I think that has enough time to incorporate with the water. It looks like it's pretty viscous still, sticking to the sides of the glass. Legs are running down just now. Let's get it on the nose. Ooh, a lot more of a spice is coming out, a little bit more of an astringency. Oh, actually, that astringency is gone. It was just that first sip, maybe it was just everything that was hovering in the glass. It pretty much smells exactly the same as it did without the water. Dominant note that I'm getting is that earthy mustiness, the buttered wheat roll, a little bit of honey, vanilla, and brown sugar. Let's get it on the palate. Just like you would imagine, water tones it down quite a bit. I don't really get that ethanol bump that I did without the water. It did flatten out a lot of the flavors. I would not suggest adding water to this. Obviously, it's your whiskey. You can do whatever you want with it. But for me, adding that water toned it down. I really did like this without the water. And I like it with the water. I just don't like it as much. So if you're new here, my scoring system is out of 5 stars. And because I'm doing these single barrel bourbons, I'm going to base my scores on all of the single barrels that I've done up to this point. I can't compare this to Irish or Scotch or any of the American single malts that I've done. So out of 5 stars, with this being such a well-developed, well-constructed, lower proof bourbon that is a wheated bourbon, and if you've been here for a while, you know that I like wheated bourbons, I'm actually going to put this right at 3.95. I like this quite a bit. The reason why it doesn't hit a 4 is because of the ABV. I would really like to see this at a higher proof and at a lower cost. I understand that you know there are costs involved, but $109 at this point with the whiskey prices being astronomically high, I gotta knock this down just under 4. But 3.95 to me is really good. And if you have the $100 or $110 to spare on one of their single barrel releases, it might be worth a shot. I understand that single barrels are going to vary widely. Well, maybe not widely, but single barrels are going to vary from barrel to barrel. So if you are interested in picking one of these up, you know, just pay attention to your store shelves and see if it pops up. I don't really necessarily know the distribution of this. It may be available in your state. It might not. Let me know in the comments down below if it is. And if it is available, what are you paying for it? So that's where I'm going to leave it. Wherever you're at in your journey, I hope you are enjoying it because I am certainly enjoying mine. Cheers, everybody, and we'll talk to you later. Bye.